Hi, everybody. I am Laura Ashley Abraham. I am one of the Michigan Medium Angels, and this is going to be a video about how to heal from emotional issues connected to eating and with trauma and how to overcome that. So I'm going to cover a lot of different topics today. I am not an expert. This is my own personal experience. I am not a medical medium practitioner, although I am following the medical medium protocols to the best of my abilities. So last night, well, in this video too, I'm recording this the next day, but I recorded while I was doing a live. It was supposed to be when I was doing a live, or supposed to do a live Instagram with my daughter Amber, who is a medical medium practitioner or follows the medical medium protocols. I don't want to speak for her. I apologize. I don't want to say anything incorrectly for her, but her brand name is Heal with Amber, so you can follow her that way. And if you're not familiar, because some of you may be familiar with me and not with her, so I just kind of want to give a little bit of a brief overview. As we were planning and preparing to do this Instagram Live, it was the first Instagram Live that I've ever done. And I'm not very familiar with Instagram. I am now, though, because of this. So I just kind of wanted to tell you a little bit of the background and a funny story before I kind of get into the whole issue with the emotional eating, cravings, and trauma, and how to overcome it. So that's basically the topic that I want to discuss, like I was saying today. So getting prepared to do that, I was very excited about it because this is something that is really important to me, and that means a lot because I have been through a lot of trauma in my life, which I will explain in a little bit and give a little overview. But I was so excited, and I had been talking to Amber about this, and she had given me some instructions on how to get onto Instagram Live a couple days before. And so also the day before too, we had talked, and she's like, are you ready? I'm like, yes, I'm prepared. I got it. I'll figure it out. I know I'll be able to get in there. So that whole day I had prepared, I had my notes, I had everything, I had my books, I had basically how I wanted the phone, the camera, because you have to do it on the phone for Instagram Live. I had that all prepared. I was really prepared, I guess is my point. And so, a minute before we're ready to go live, she texts me, are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready, right? And she goes on, and I get into the account, and I can't figure out how to link up with her. And I start to panic, like a minute goes by, a couple minutes go by. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get in. I don't know what to do. I'm not hitting the right button. And it was really funny later on looking back, but not in the moment. I was so panicked. And so I texted her, I don't know what to do. I can't get in. And she can't respond. She's on live. And so I'm in the account, and all of a sudden I see my business partner, the other Michigan Medium Angel, which you may recognize her in this photo. She would be, well, the other one, that's not me. And she is on there talking to Amber, and she's like, oh, hi, I wasn't prepared for this. And I'm like, I'm talking to my phone, get off, what are you doing? I'm the one that's supposed to be joining the link. She hit the link by accident and ended up getting in there. So I don't remember how many minutes in this is, probably like 5 minutes. And so I am like, oh my God, what do I do? I need to get on there. And I know she has to get off in order for me to get on. So I text her. I'm like, I think she was in there at that time. But anyway, she ended up getting off, and she called me, and she was trying to help me to get on. I still couldn't figure it out. So I run up the stairs, I need to ask my other daughter, Zoe, what do I do? How do I get in? I'm all panicked. And she's like, breathe, relax, it's gonna be okay. I'm not relaxed. I can't be relaxed. I'm freaking out. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And so I kept going in and out of the screens, and it was just not funny, but I was like, angels, help me, help me. What do I do? Help me. So eventually I calmed down. I got downstairs and my assistant, Lily, thank you, Lily, she ended up telling me to stay on the screen, or maybe it was Zoe, I don't remember. But both of them, I think, were saying the same thing. Stay on the live screen and Amber will send you a request, or send Amber a request. Well, I had done that earlier, but Amber hadn't seen it or clicked on it, or Connie clicked on it. I don't know what happened. But anyways, eventually I did get in. And so if you were one of the people that were on the live, I am really sorry, because I really was doing my best. And I did not plan or prepare that it was going to be such a debacle. So now I can laugh and I can say, okay, that was really funny, ha ha ha, real funny, angels. But I understand that there was really truly a reason for it, and there were a lot of things. It was for me to share a funny story, for me to remember not to always be so prepared. I was so prepared, and there are going to be things that are going to come up in your life that you're not prepared for, and which leads to our topic today. And you cannot always plan for everything. And so when things like that happen, it really is important to remain calm. I'm going to have to follow my own advice, and to remember that everything's going to be okay. Like it's going to be okay. That was a very simple and basic situation. But in the moment, it was very, very stressful. And I was worried really about messing up Amber. I really didn't want her to have, we had planned this. This was something that we were really excited about. We really wanted to talk about and share. So I was worried, and I didn't want to upset her, stress her out, but she did great. She was fantastic. I ended up getting on there, I don't know, maybe around 20 minutes later after the start time, maybe even a half hour. So we had like a good half hour still to talk, and I was able to touch on some of the topics that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't get to everything. So I really would like to go over some of those things for you, because it might be helpful. And that's why I'm here. That's my purpose. And I want to help other people in any way that I can through my experiences and my journey. And I hope that you can laugh with me, and I hope that you can, laugh at yourself when you need to, and not take things so seriously, which is really one of my life lessons that I have to work on. So, and that taught me a lot. I don't need that lesson anymore. Thank you, angels. I'm good. Okay. And I want to also bring in humor into your spiritual journey, into your healing journey, into your life, because that is also a part of the healing process, is to be able to laugh and to be able to be in a space of allowing fun, allowing happiness. And a lot of times when we have very serious things going on in our lives and we are going through trauma, that is not an easy thing to do. And there's a time and a place for humor. It's not always going to be fun, and you're not always going to be in a space of wanting to laugh, but being open to that and allowing space for that when it is the right time, to not hold yourself back from that. So everybody, take a deep breath with me. Breathe. It's all going to be okay. I'm going to do my best to cover some of the topics, but I want to go back a little bit too, and just introduce myself and introduce my journey for those of you who don't know. So I grew up as a very sensitive child. I grew up in a very abusive home, and I had a lot of abuse. And as I was growing up, let me explain this too. I remember going to a book signing. A lady had written a book, and she was talking about if anybody in the room could remember a happy memory from their childhood. And she said, think back to your childhood and think back of a happy memory. And I remember sitting in that moment, and I was in my 30s. I remember sitting in that moment thinking, I don't remember. I couldn't remember a happy moment. And I knew in that time that was a problem for me. So that probably was the catalyst, one of them, one of many, but one of the bigger ones that was a red flag for me, that I needed to do some inner work and try to figure out what was going on with that, and why I couldn't remember things, why I couldn't remember memories. And when I was 38, I think it was at 38, I believe so, in my late 30s, I ended up having memories of abuse, but also sexual abuse from my dad coming back. And what had happened was, this was in 2010, in April, I had gone to have a reading, and she had told me that I was going to be writing a bunch of books and that I was going to be talking about my spiritual journey. And she said at the time, you're going to be writing a lot of books, and I asked her, well, what am I going to be talking about? She said, well, your angels and your guides are going to tell you. And she said, I want you to go home and I want you to go look at your aura and see if you can see your aura and see the colors, and just start with that, because she wanted me to get more comfortable communicating with my guides and my angels. So I did that, and I went home and I looked in the mirror, and I was looking to see if I could see my aura, which I did. And through that process, I ended up seeing a lot. I had a very significant spiritual experience, which brought up a lot of emotions, but it was unconditional love in that moment. Or in that time period. This was a 3-hour process approximately of me connecting with my guides, seeing things and experiencing things that I couldn't explain or understand at that time. And I was given a message, channeled a message. And after that, I started to record my daily connection with my guides and my angels. And from that process, I ended up writing a book, which is the keys to your higher self, my book. And that is on my website, available on my website. We're actually currently in the process of teaching a class, Connie and I, on the book, and we are pretty much in the beginning of it right now. So if anybody wants to join that, that's our spiritual growth class that we teach. And so as I started to connect with my guides, I started to realize that I had always had these abilities, but I had never tuned into them because I was really afraid. I had a lot of negative experiences, which I said as a child, but I also had a lot of nightmares and dreams that were very, very scary. And I didn't know how to process all of that as a child. And so I brought that, into my adult life in many different areas, many different ways, because trauma can be suppressed because it is a self-protective mechanism. And what I found through my healing journey was that around the age of late 30s, 40s is when memories can start to surface or come back. So from that experience of me having my spiritual experience, that was in April of 2010. 6 months later, in October of 2010, I had the abuse memories come back. And that point in my life, I had to really, really do major emotional work on myself. And that went on for months and for years. But I really, truly found peace, and inner healing. And my journey is very unique. And so that's why I feel I am here to help people in many different ways connected to abuse, because I did so much of my own soul searching, my own research. I joined a support group. I talked about my experience when I was ready. You know, I confronted my abuser, who was my dad. I don't recommend you doing that. My journey was my own and my unique journey. So I want to make it very clear. I don't want anyone to compare themselves to me. And I want you to do what feels best for you. That is always where you should be coming from, is from that space, what feels good to you. And I didn't know what felt good to me until I really started tuning in and started clearing out a lot of that emotional junk and a lot of that emotional garbage that was put in at a very young age, that didn't belong to me, that wasn't mine. And I had so much pain and suffering that I went through as a teenager because of it, that I had to go back to my inner child and really work with her and heal those parts of myself that were unhealed, that were wounded. And so that's just a little bit of an overview of my journey. But also from that point, I ended up communicating so much with my angels and my guides. And I developed this process of being so connected with them that they actually, they saved me, they saved my life. And that's why, to me, there's this connection with me having my guides and my angels as a support team, as a foundation for me to be able to go through and have my abuse memories come back and survive and still be here to talk about it and to be healed. So that's why I wanted to explain a little bit more in detail, because I really truly would believe that I would not be here if it hadn't been for my connection with my higher self and everything that I went through up to that point, to that process. So I really opened up spiritually, and I really realized that I had always had these gifts, but I had turned them off because I was too afraid and I didn't understand it. And now I know there is so much love that is around us that we can tap into at any time with your angels, so, or your guides, loved ones that have passed away, whoever, whatever you feel comfortable with, God, whatever that source, universe, whatever that is for you, honor that. That's your truth. So just honor that for yourself. And for, again, you know, mine is my own unique journey. So from that point of me connecting with my guides and then having my memories come back and asking them how to help me and bringing all of this to light, because I was bringing light really to darkness, and loving myself. I had to go through a lot of self-love at that time and not let what other people thought my healing journey should look like be how I defined my healing journey. I defined my healing journey based on what I needed and what I felt was right for me. And I'm really proud of myself that I did that, because that was not an easy thing to do. And so for those of you who are dealing with emotional issues and also eating issues, you know, honor your journey and don't let anyone else tell you what is right or wrong for you. Listen to yourself and allow other people to if you need that advice, or, you know, we all need help along our journey. You don't want to be closed off to help, but if somebody is being judgmental about your journey, then you know, just set boundaries, set healthy boundaries for yourself, and don't let anyone tell you what is right for you. Listen to yourself. So I am on the medical medium healing journey, and I have been for a while. Mine has been a little bit unique because it's been up and down. I would start basically with drinking, you know, the celery juice and, well, first of all, doing lemon water in the morning. Then, you know, now I take my vitamins and I take my supplements, and I do my celery juice, and I do my detox smoothie, and I have my snacks, my adrenal snacks throughout the day, or and then also, you know, just incorporating as many medical medium meals and foods into my diet as I possibly can at this point. So Amber started helping me. She started helping me a while ago, but I wasn't ready. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about. At that time, I really wasn't ready. She has done so much, and she is truly on this journey for all of those people that she's helping, but also for herself. She's very committed to this. And she helped in so many ways in our family. She brought in different foods that I would never have thought of trying or eating. She showed me different ways of eating what was really truly healthy and what wasn't, which I had no idea. I thought what I was doing was, pretty much okay, but it really wasn't. It wasn't good for me. And I have underlying issues, underlying health conditions, or underlying chronic health conditions. So I had about 5 years ago, and right now this is October 2020. So about 5 years ago, I got really, really sick. And I mean, I was really sick. I couldn't breathe, and it affected my body in such a unique way. I've never been sick like that before. I had never not been able to function or get back after having a cold. And the only thing that I could find at the time that reminded me of what I had was like whooping cough. But I'm not sure even to this day what it was. Basically, I got so sick and I couldn't really do anything. And afterwards, I didn't have energy. And it took me months and months to recover, to be able to feel like, it was actually more like years, because for a good year, I was not at the same capacity. I was tired. I didn't have the energy to go places. I couldn't really take care of myself very well. So when I say that, I would need a lot of sleep, basically. I needed a lot of rest, a lot of sleep, and it just wasn't my normal, and I knew something was wrong. So that's when I really started to dive into the medical medium and look into what was going on and how I could help myself. So for me, my progress was a little bit more gradual. And I had to take smaller steps because as a child, I had a lot of forced feeding, and I had a lot of resentment for that. I didn't realize that until I went on this starting to eat healthier and choosing foods that were better for me. I had a lot of resistance because I felt like somebody from my childhood was telling me what to do. And I needed to feel that I wasn't being forced to do something, and that I also needed to have a goal for myself that would get me to, not get me, but that would help me, or I could encourage myself. So it's kind of like I had to take my little inner child who was resisting eating vegetables, and I had to kind of take her and talk to her and walk her through the process and kind of bring her up to speed and say, okay, we want the same things. We really want to feel good. We want to be working with people and doing mediumship and doing readings and doing coaching. And we want to have enough energy to be able to do all of that, because I would do events and, be in front of people and speaking engagements and talking about my story. And there's so many avenues of what I do for my business now that I needed to have the energy, and I didn't. And so that was really my conflict, but that was also my goal. That was what I wanted more than anything. And I was still able to work, but it took a lot out of me. So I had to do a lot more regenerating of my energy than I had in the past. And at that time also, I had another job. I was court reporting. I was a freelance court reporter, and I would go to different buildings and places, and I was at different locations every day. I never knew where I was going to be, so I could have to drive an hour, and I would have to pack my lunch and bring food with me everywhere I went. That was another aspect of my journey too, because incorporating, as I know a lot of you know that are on the medical medium protocols, this really truly is not an easy I'll just say, I have found it not to be easy to implement this into my life. That is why I've had to take it in stages and do it slowly. So if you are struggling and having a hard time, do that. Be patient and kind and loving with yourself and go slow. Give yourself as much self-love as possible and really take it slow. Take it one thing at a time. Like I said, start with the lemon water in the morning, or maybe every other morning, and start to change some of the things that you're doing that you know are really not good for you, and start with those. Start with wherever you feel is the right way to implement this. And for me, like I said, I started with my lemon water. That was easy for me. I could do because I felt like my body was not absorbing nutrients. And also, after I ended up getting sick, at that time, I ended up getting sick like other, I don't know if illnesses is the right word, but I ended up getting shingles one of the years. I had really bad colds after that, and I kept getting sick. So that's why I'm saying, you know, it wasn't just one thing. I started to really notice that there were a lot of things that were going on with me. And I would take like coffee. I'll give you an example. Coffee was something I loved. I couldn't live without. Couldn't have imagined not drinking coffee. But what I noticed is that I was getting really shaky and that it was not making me feel good. I felt worse drinking coffee. And no matter what I did, it just was not having a good effect on me. So that I cut out, which I know, hard to do. It's not easy. But once I did that, I started to really feel better, and I switched to tea. So I really found alternatives that were healthier than the other things that I had been doing. So start with that. Start small. For instance, well, let me back up too, because with the coffee, or, you know, with me drinking coffee, that was almost a soothing type of it, I guess that would be the sort of like a craving, but to me, it's connected with, what is the word? It's connected with almost like a protective type of a thing, or I'm trying to figure out how to word this, and I will figure this out. Within that time frame, let me back up a little bit, because within that time frame, in the last 5 years, I quit smoking because I was a smoker too. So some of those things that I was doing, I realized were protective or self-protective, but they were self-sabotaging. That's the word, self-sabotaging behaviors. So me smoking was like numbing and covering up emotions that I was holding onto or had in my body, that I didn't want to feel. And that is another sign for me, or a symptom of having some issues that I needed to deal with, past issues that I was suppressing, that I wasn't really looking at. So let me kind of talk about triggers a little bit, because when I started my healing, my emotional healing journey after my memories came back, I learned a lot about triggers and a lot about what they are and what they look like, and the things that I was doing that were as a result of my abuse, that I didn't put together, that I didn't make the connection of. So triggers really are a reaction that doesn't warrant the situation, or an overreaction or an underreaction. And a trigger, when I had gone to my group for healing for abuse, for sexual abuse specifically, and there, you know, people, they would share their stories, and so much of what they were talking about made so much sense to me. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I was doing that because of my trauma. So, and it helped me actually going and talking about it and working through it helped me so much because I had been hiding and I felt like I had been, it all made sense. All of my behaviors and the way that I had been before made so much sense once I started to bring that into the light and look at it and heal and take that time. So extremes of emotions is part of how you can identify if there is trauma or if you do have something that needs to be healed. So there are many forms of trauma. It is not just about abuse. You can be traumatized by the loss of a loved one. You can be traumatized by the loss of a relationship, which I know that personally because that has also happened to me as well. You can be traumatized by many, many different things. So I don't want to go into all of that, but this is just an overview. Extremes of emotions again are connected to like feeling overwhelmed, having major fears and phobias, being judged or feeling judged and being teased and criticized. Those things can kind of make that trigger or can trigger you for those emotions to come out. And I know I had a lot of that. I think I shared that in the Instagram live that we did too. I shared a little bit of that. I had been out to dinner with somebody in my 20s or 30s, and we were eating dinner and he kept trying to get me to try this food. And this had been an ongoing thing where I kept telling him, I don't want to try that. I didn't like it. And he wouldn't stop. And I literally got up from the table and I left. I was so upset. And I didn't understand why I was so upset until years later. And I didn't make the connection because when you get to a point of overwhelm, there's so much that has come before that you like reach your limit. You're at your limit and you can't take any more. And then it's like overwhelm. Everything just spills over and you can feel so lost and so out of control. And I know that there were a lot of behaviors that I incorporated in my life to help me with my trauma that were not good for me, as coming back to the smoking. So I started smoking at a very young age. I was 13 years old and I was like a closet smoker. I really didn't want people to know as I kind of grew up. I didn't smoke around the kids, but it was my coping mechanism. It was how I coped with overwhelm, with stress. And a lot of people can relate to that because a lot of people will do that with food. So when I quit smoking, which was, I should know the date because it was such a big deal. I had been trying to quit for years and years, and I had quit on and off here and there too, but you know, something usually will have to replace when you release an emotional support, which is what I call that, an emotional support. You need to replace that with something. At least I did. And you want to replace it with something healthy. So I was trying to do that, but I didn't realize that I really wasn't. And I needed to. So that's something that can take some time to kind of figure out as well. But just having the awareness, that's one of the next steps too. Having the awareness is key. Once you realize you are having self-sabotaging behaviors or you're having reactions to things or triggers, then you can look at it and say, okay, why am I doing that? Why am I responding that way? And look at it without judgment. Ask yourself that question without judgment, but with so much love and compassion, and take it step by step. So when I quit smoking, it triggered a lot of, I don't know this to be true, but I felt that it triggered a lot of detox to happen in my body that my body actually wasn't even ready for. And it had negative effects for me with my like adrenals. I didn't know that was what was happening. And I really had overwhelming symptoms, which I'm sure a lot of you have experienced too, that are on the medical medium protocols, because once you start cleaning up your diet, you have a lot of detox symptoms. And so so what I was doing was, again, trying to incorporate other things that were going to be better for me as I quit smoking. So, well, I quit completely cold turkey. So I knew I had to, that's how I had to do it. And I did it, and I'm so glad, and I have not gone back. So, and I never will. And I know that to be true today. I didn't know that before, but I do know that now. I was done, and I did not want to have that. It was lowering my vibration, and I didn't feel good, and I wanted to shift that and change that. So moving forward, I know Amber had some questions and things that she wanted to talk about. So I'm just going to look at my notes too, because I want to make sure that I'm covering everything that I wanted to say with you guys. Some of the behaviors that I had growing up that I realized, again, in my support group and going through my healing journey, my emotional healing journey, was that there can be, or how you can know that there is trauma in your past. And I'm just giving you an overview. These are, again, some of the things that I experienced. They can be eating disorders, which not eating or overeating. I wouldn't eat when I was a teenager. I just wouldn't eat. And I didn't realize that's, a form of control. You're just trying to control your situation because you feel like you have no control. Also, again, numbing techniques, which would be alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, prescriptions. It can be behaviors, checking your phone, being on your phone, watching too much TV, not doing things that you know are good for you, and habits. So that's just a little bit of some of those. And then, oh yeah, cutting too. That's a big one. Cutting, self-harming. That was one that I did from a very young age also. It was really a coping mechanism, coping technique. And what I didn't realize at the time, well, I did, it actually helped me to be able to release my emotions, because I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have a good emotional outlet when I was younger. And I started cutting at the age of 13 as well. So from that, when I had my memories come back, which this is a 10-year anniversary as I'm recording this month, and 10 years, looking back to see how far I've come from then till now, I am so proud of myself. I really am. That time was very traumatic, and it was very difficult for me. It was very difficult for my family. And I truly didn't know if I was going to be okay. But again, I had the support of my guides, my angels. I had really good friends that helped me to work through that trauma and to get out on the other side of it. It's a journey and it's a process. So I don't want to stay too much on that, but it is connected with a lot of times with eating disorders and with health conditions and with things that you're suppressing. So it doesn't even have to be about abuse. It can just be about things that you're suppressing, or things that you don't want to look at, or things that are difficult. And I'm not suggesting that you do. My process of doing my emotional work was step by step, little by little. I had to take my inner child and my child that was wounded and basically grow her up and get her on the same page with me, very slowly and very lovingly. And I know Amber talked about internal family systems. I'm not familiar with that. I did my own path, my own journey. I let my guides lead me on my healing process. I do talk about it in my book, and my book is a channeled book by my guides. I do a lot of channeling, meditations, and messages, which I also work with people on how to tap into that aspect of themselves and how to connect with their guides and their angels. I love that process. That's so fun for me because it's so helpful. So for me, really, step one is having the awareness that you want to shift and you want to change. And we all do, we all want to feel good. So how you are, if you do have chronic illness, if you are sick and you can't, and you're having such a hard time, my heart goes out to you. I have so much compassion and I love for you. And I just want to say, be patient, be kind, don't force this. And, for me, I had to sleep. I had to rest, really, really rest, and give myself the space that I needed, give myself what I needed when I needed it. Sleep, I needed a lot of sleep, and I needed to not be able to necessarily do the things that other people were able to do. I needed to not go to different places because it would have been too hard on me. And I wasn't emotionally capable or able to do those things. So from the time of me getting sick and really starting this medical medium protocol and kind of being up and down, because I have been on it, off it, and doing things maybe my way, now I'm really starting to notice that I'm feeling better, and I'm noticing why I'm reacting the way that I am and how to shift that and change that. So when I want something sweet, I have a list of things that I can go to. So that was something that I did for myself. Because I didn't want to feel deprived. As a child, I must have been hungry because I notice now that I will try to fill myself up. That was one of the questions that came through from Amber. I will want to fill myself up with, or I used to, I really don't do that anymore. I notice I do it now if I'm feeling maybe not the greatest. Again, it's another self-soothing technique, but I know it goes back to my childhood. So having that awareness again was something that it brought it to light, it brought it to the surface so that I could shift and change it. And again, little by little, little steps. So the question, I believe, was, how do I not get myself to how do I feel full, or how do I, not fill myself up with so much food? You do it a little bit at a time, at least that's what I did. And I would make sure that I had things that helped me to feel full. So the medical medium, what is it? The pizza. I'm gonna have to let me get my list here. See, I put my books over there. You couldn't see that in my video, but I had my medical medium books with me. So I made a list of meals, things that I really like. As you're going through the books, he has a bunch of different recipes in there. He also sends out recipes through email. So sign up for his emails and he sends them out free, the ones that are in his books. What I would suggest too is taking the recipes and doing half. If you're not sure if you're going to like it, cut them in half. The other thing is what I have done is, I'm not saying this from him, this is from me, my own personal experience of how to work on implementing meals and foods that you're not familiar with and getting healthier, implementing the things that you do like instead of making things or putting things in there that you really don't like. Take it little by little. So in some of the recipes, there are ingredients that I do not like, so I don't put them in. And like, for instance, cilantro at first I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even stand it, but I don't mind it in my detox smoothie. I really don't. And I do a little bit. So incorporate into your recipes the things that you do like, at least start there and find the ones that are maybe more filling for you. I liked a lot, and I like a lot of grounding foods, and I like a lot of I did like feeling full. I want to feel that I am full or that I'm satiated. So one of the recipes that I found recently is so good. I took I sauteed, you know, garlic and onions and vegetables, mushrooms. What else did I put in there? Zucchini and fresh tomatoes from my garden. Oh my gosh, so good. And I sauteed that, and then I put really good spices in there, which I didn't even know I really liked these. I put in cumin and curry and a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't know if you're gonna like those spices, but I did. So, you know, you can try them and see if you like them. And then what I did is I put quinoa noodles. They only take like 5 to 7 minutes to cook, and just sauteed it and put it, mixed it in there with that, with the tomatoes. Oh my gosh, seriously, it's so good. And it's filling, one of my favorite recipes that I created. And the other thing too is if you don't like those recipes, you can get coconut aminos, which it's like a soy sauce almost, but it's not soy sauce and it's actually good for you. So you can use that as an alternative in your cooking. So try that, just add a little bit, see if you like it. Find different recipes that do make you feel full. Like I said, have needed a lot of grounding foods. So potatoes is one that I've incorporated a lot into my diet. And if you look in Anthony Williams, the medical medium's books, he has, I don't remember which one, but he has the healing properties, I think it is, or the spiritual meaning behind like a potato, behind the foods, which I love them. I love reading those. They're incredible. And what that vegetable does for you and for your soul and for your body. So, you know, again, incorporating a lot of potatoes into your diet. Another one of my favorites too is for a snack, for a like more of like a crunchy alternative. If I'm craving salt, or if I'm craving something, you know, that I want to snack on, what I do is I take potato and I cut it up into chunks. I put it on a pan, you know, with a little bit of avocado oil, and some salt and pepper, and some Italian seasoning, and I bake it at 350 degrees for like 20 minutes. And then after that, I will broil it for like 5 minutes, maybe a couple minutes, just to kind of make it more crunchy. And oh my gosh, it totally cures my wanting like something crunchy. And at nighttime is usually when I want to snack, because I want to relax. And that, I notice too, is like where I want to give myself like a reward. And that is not eating for the right reasons. You want to eat because you want to feel good. You don't want to eat to fill an emotional wound or an emotional space. And that's what I realized I was doing so much of with a lot of the foods that I was eating. So the other one of my favorites is the potato pizzas. Oh my gosh, I love that recipe. It's so good. Make sure you take potato. I'm not going to tell you the whole recipe. It's in his recipe, but I kind of add, again, you know, my own version of how I do it, but I pretty much followed what he said. But I steamed the potatoes, and then you like mash them up, and you make potato like pies, or like flat little circles, like a pizza. And you take tomato paste. Don't use tomato sauce because it soaks in, it makes it mushy. It's not good. Tried it. So you take the tomato paste and you put that on there, and then you put a bunch of vegetables, and you bake it. And oh my gosh, it's so good. Seriously, really good. That's one of my favorites. And it satisfies the pizza craving, and it is very satiating and very filling. And the other one too that I like, for like if you're craving, you know, spaghetti, I use zucchini noodles and spaghetti sauce instead, and that's a really good one too. So there are ways to make this work and to incorporate it into your life, and for it to be good, and where you're not feeling like you're having to force yourself to eat food that, you know, you don't like. Eat the vegetables you like. I love broccoli. I love spinach. I love asparagus. The asparagus soup that he has is one of my favorites. Although again, I do it a little bit different. And, you know, find the things that work for you. Now on the sweets, that's what I really want to get to. Finding sweets that work. There are a lot of really good smoothies that he has, but the blueberry pie is so good. The base of the pie is, you know, it's not really a pie. It is, but the base of the pie is it almonds? I think it's, or cashews. I can't remember if it's cashews. I think it's cashews. It's not in this book, but that's okay. It's basically like nuts, dates, coconut, and you put it you know put it in the pie pan, and then you blend up wild blueberry and papaya and dates, and that's the inside. Seriously, so good. If you're craving sweets, that's a great one. There are just a lot of other alternatives that you can do for sweets too. And I know one of the questions was about chocolate. I'm not going to advocate any type of chocolate for, you know, the medical medium community, because I know he says that cacao isn't good. So, you know, but for me, there are times that I have used very good versions of that. And one is I make a cacao avocado chocolate pudding. So anyways, there are ways that you can incorporate things into your life and find alternatives that are good, that are healthy. Bananas Foster is one of my favorites, seriously, and that is in the Medical Medium book. That is actually in the Liver Rescue book. That is in this one, and it is on page 420. Bananas Foster. You take bananas, cut them in half, you put maple syrup and there's, what did he say? Maple sugar. You mix that up, and it makes like a almost, and cinnamon, and it makes like a cinnamon like paste. And then you put maple syrup over that, and you bake it. I'm not kidding. That is so good. That's just a quick version. That's not the actual recipe. And then banana oatmeal raisin cookies. This is a great one because you can take it with you anywhere you go. Literally, you take, I do half a recipe because I only make like 3 cookies at a time because I'm not going to eat that many, and they kind of go bad, so you have to like be careful. So anyways, you take banana, you mash 1 banana in a bowl. You take gluten-free oatmeal, and that's organic. You know, all of this would be organic. And you take that, you mix it up with the banana, some cinnamon, what else? And raisins. Mash it all up, mix it up, make 3 little cookies. They're like about this big. Bake it at 350 degrees for like maybe 12 to 15 minutes. He says 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, so good, so easy to do, quick. Anyways, that is a really good alternative for sweet things. Just a couple ideas. Love, love, love those. Trying to think if there's anything else. That'll be good for now. So I just, okay, so let me see, what else did I want to talk about here? Tools and strategies, more tools and strategies. So one of the other questions that had come through that I did want to address was Thanksgiving. Somebody had asked about that too. Well, actually, we were talking about Thanksgiving on the video. When Amber first introduced, she was the one who started really following the protocols. She was going to school to school to help people with nutrition. And she started on her journey, you know, way before I did. And she started to kind of help me and kind of show me by how she was doing things, what was good and what wasn't good. And when we had like one of the years Thanksgiving too, you know, she ended up bringing her own food with her, and we had talked about that. And it wasn't on purpose. You know, I don't think anybody was trying to minimize what she was doing, but I don't think that we really all I understood. I mean, we're trying to understand, you know, but we're thinking, you know, well, what's the big deal? You know, why can't you just eat a little bit of the stuff from Thanksgiving? Why does it matter? That kind of stuff, you know. And this may be something for you because Thanksgiving is coming up here. When you're doing this to help yourself, to heal yourself, to be a better person. You need to do what is best for you. Even if your family doesn't fully understand, and even if somebody might take offense to it, that is not something that you need to feel badly or feel take personally. Don't take it personally, would be my advice to you. Sometimes people really don't fully understand, and it may take them a little bit of time to really get on board. And that was another question too, what do you do if your family is not on board with this? And I'm sorry for that, and I'm sorry to Amber, because I didn't really fully understand what she was doing and why. And I was scared. I'm just gonna, I was scared. I loved food, and I loved my foods, and I loved my Thanksgiving foods that I would eat that were not good for me, and that were causing inflammation, and that were causing me to not feel good. And once I made the connection, I want to feel good and I don't want to feel bad, then it was like I didn't feel like I was giving up something. I didn't feel that I was losing something, and it made it easier for me to make these changes in my life. So anyways, like I said, that was something I wanted to talk about as well. Bring your own food. Don't feel bad about doing that. I just did that recently with a friend. I came, she said, do you want me to cook you breakfast? And I'm like, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, but I'm going to bring my own food. It's nothing personal, but I'm on this protocol, and it is not something that I can't eat a lot of things. So I'll just bring my own stuff. Also, I will eat before I go somewhere. I pack my stuff now, and I make sure that I have enough for me to get through a day if I need to. That is also something that you can do. I know that this isn't always easy. It takes time to implement. But if you are doing little bits at a time, it will eventually make a difference. And it will eventually, at least I have found for myself, it will help you to start to feel better, and it will help you, it will give you the time for your soul and your spirit to catch up, really, because in your inner self, in your inner child, it will give you time to adjust to taking care of yourself and nurturing yourself. Because I know for me, I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't taught that. I had to learn that through this experience and this journey. And I was told what to eat, and so I didn't want anyone telling me what to do, but I wasn't making those choices anymore I wasn't making them, they weren't helping me. And I was making them, those choices, like to eat chocolate or to eat, chips. Well, what's it gonna hurt if I eat a little bit? Or I would make these excuses in my head. So as I started to incorporate different foods and find more and more foods that I liked, it made it easier for me to really make this a lifestyle and to stay on it and to keep doing this. So there was something I was going to say, but it'll come back to me if it's important. So what I want you to do too is, have realistic goals. Don't be saying, which I know I did it too. I jumped right in and it was not the right thing for me. I started doing the medical medium protocols and it was like too much. I really had to take a step back and do it little by little. So have realistic goals for yourself. This is going to be something you're going to have to really work on, reshaping your habits and your routines. Like I said, with Thanksgiving, maybe you can call and say to your family members, hey, I am on this. This is for me to heal. I am doing this like medicine. Think of your food as medicine to help you to heal your body. And as you are eating better foods too, it raises your vibration and it helps you to be able to hear clearer guidance. It helps you to be able to have more energy. It helps you to feel better emotionally, be able to deal with stress, things that are going on in your life, and you realize what you want in your life. You want more of that good feeling. And that's really your goal. So tell the people that you love, hey, I'm going to be bringing my food this year, or maybe next year. I don't know if you'll be going to see your family this year or not. Or but even if they do take offense to it, don't let that affect you. Don't let that impact you or hold you back. Not everybody is going to be embracing this, and that's okay, because they don't understand, or again, maybe they're scared. Like I was scared, you know, I didn't want to lose my cheesy potatoes. Okay. I didn't want to lose my green bean casserole. But I'm okay with it now. And last year I didn't do that. Last year I didn't bring that. I didn't make that. I couldn't make it. It didn't feel good anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can't do that to my loved ones. I can't have them eat that. It's bad for them, right? So your thought process will shift throughout this journey. Be open to that. And what was the other thing I wrote on here? Reshaping your habits and your routines. We talked about that, replacing with healthy alternatives, starting slow and incorporating one thing. We talked about that. Again, I want to just touch briefly on some of these tools and strategies for you that I have used that have helped me. I think that Amber and I may do another live, or we're going to do maybe a workshop or something on this, just so you know. We'll get into more detail, but you know, get a coach, get somebody who can help you through this. Tapping, that's a modality that I have used to help me with my trauma. It's probably one of the biggest modalities that has made the biggest difference, besides me connecting with my angels and my guides and tuning into that aspect. And because I had so many trust issues, I needed to feel that I had a solid foundation and a solid base. So my guides and my angels really gave me that. But the tapping helps to release energy out of your body. So basically what it is you tap, you know, like on the side of your hand, and you talk about what's going on. You talk about what's going on in your body. This is called the emotional freedom technique. You can download the app. It's a free app. It's called the Tapping Solution app. And there are free mini meditations on there that you can listen to that guide you through exactly how to do tapping. And you can go to Nick Ortner's website. It's him and his sister and their brother also, but Nick Ortner, ORTNER, and then Jessica Ortner. She works on like a lot of the food cravings and stuff like that. She has a book too. So just another resource that you can use. But the emotional freedom technique, tapping, I call it tapping, is basically, it'll go a little bit like this. Even though I have cravings for foods that aren't good for me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you say a setup statement 3 times. Even though I feel whatever you feel, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel frustrated, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then you go through tapping on different parts of your body. And basically what this is it's acupuncture without the needles, and it helps to release stress hormone out of your body. You're touching on the meridians of your body, and you're releasing stress or stuck energy in your body. So I know it looks a little weird. I used to do this all the time. I mean, I still do this all the time. So even though it looks weird, I'm just going to tell you that it does work. So try that. I work with people on tapping all the time to help them, because some people will say, well, I've tried it and it doesn't work. Please try it. Please try it again, and try it again, because it really, truly does work. You may not notice it right away, and it may take several times of doing a session to notice a difference, but what you're doing is you're trying to release your emotion. If you have a very heightened emotion, it will really help you to relax, and that's what you want to do. You want to relax and get into your body and calm yourself down. So that's what I should have been doing while I was trying to get onto Instagram Live, right? Oh my God, which I totally forgot about that because I was in a panic, but that's okay. I'm never going to have to do that again or worry about it. So tapping, please check that out. I don't get anything for telling you about using tapping. It is truly one of my favorite modalities. It's helped me in so many different areas. And it doesn't just help you with foods, with emotional cravings, with literally, you know, if you're, this was something I wanted to talk about. If you're craving chocolate, literally, you know, you ask yourself, why am I craving this chocolate? What is this chocolate going to do for me? And my own experience, what I noticed was that it went back to memories of where I was deprived of those sweets, that I wanted those sweets and that I couldn't have it. And so when I would eat it, it would make me feel, that's what you want to tune into. What is the chocolate bringing? What emotion, what feeling is it bringing forward for you? Is it happiness? Is it bringing you joy? Is it bringing you, are you feeling like love? For me, it was a lot of those emotions, and it was connected again to when I was younger. And I remember that I couldn't have those things. And it made me feel maybe more in control, that I was able to have that chocolate. And for me, I didn't necessarily eat a lot of it, but I would have to have it, you know, have it there. And I haven't been eating chocolate. Like, I'm not kidding. This is a miracle. I am not eating chocolate, and I used to eat chocolate every day, at least probably once a day. You know, I get maybe that is a lot, and I didn't think it was a lot. I would just have a little bit, you know, probably almost every night, you know, just having a little bit of chocolate. Anyways, or every couple of days or whatever it was, I needed something sweet, and it usually would be at night. And I don't do that anymore. I replace it with my good sweets, with my healthy sweets, with my apples and dates and cinnamon, and that satisfies my craving. The other thing you can do too is have a little bit of honey. Raw honey is so good for getting rid of a craving. But tapping with like chocolate, you know, it's something that I coach people on, but getting to the root of what it is or why you're craving this chocolate, and there's an emotional component to it. So if you can do some tapping and say, okay, working through, I'm struggling, or I'm having a hard time because I really want this chocolate. As you do the tapping, it will release your craving. It will release your craving. So try that, and don't give up on that, because I know that it really works. The other thing that I would suggest too is doing some breathing, some breath work. Really, when you're feeling yourself getting stressed or overwhelmed, take a deep breath. With me having the trauma that I did, I noticed that I was not breathing because I was always so afraid as a kid. So I was like holding my breath. And what I noticed too was that I was breathing incorrectly. When I started doing yoga, I breathed the opposite way that you're supposed to. And so that was something that really helped me also. You want to get into your body. You want to start to become friends with your body and find ways to make those connections so that you're not separate from your body. I was leaving my body a lot as a child, continuously going out to survive. It was a survival technique, and it was a coping mechanism. So me not being attached to my body, I didn't realize how much that had happened. And so doing yoga, doing something physical, qigong, so good, very relaxing, very calming, very soothing. Again, if you can't do anything physical and you really can't go anywhere, sit in a window and feel the sun. Feel the sun shine on you, and let the sun absorb into your energy field, and ask the sun to help you to heal. That's one of my favorite things to do if I'm really having, and I know I did that when I was going through my memories and healing all of that too, that doing those things that brought me a sense of peace, that helped to nurture my soul. Very calming. That's a very calming technique. So you can try that as well. Medical Medium, he has just started out with these podcasts, with these meditations. They're phenomenal. So if you haven't listened to them, listen to them. They're really good. I also, on my website at lauraashley-abraham.com, let me make sure I did that, lauraashley-abraham.com, yes. Under the meditation sections, I have different meditations on there. I even have one on tapping. I have one on a Mother Mary healing meditation that I recently channeled for your heart chakra. And I am working on a heart healing book as well to help with healing your heart and healing, you know, from trauma. So those are some things that you can do. Again, make sure that you are really tuning into love for yourself. Tune into your connection with your higher self to feel love. If you have a hard time with that, somebody told you you weren't worthy. You took that on as a false belief, and it's not true. And so one of the questions that did come through was from Amber's group was, I feel guilty when I'm happy. How do I overcome this? You overcome that with nurturing yourself and loving yourself. And you can fill your heart space with white light, visualizing white light, or just feeling white light, feeling the sun energy filling your heart space. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight because somebody told you something other than the truth. Do not take that, do not absorb that as your truth. It's not true. You are lovable. You are loved. One of my favorite quotes that my guides told me was, you are safe and you are loved and we will guide you. And you are safe and you are loved and we will guide you. And I heard that repeating over and over and over again. It makes me emotional when I say it now too, because I needed to hear that so bad. And it helped me in so many ways to know that I was not alone and that I was going to be okay. And that I was going to help other people through this process too. So I just really want to thank everybody for being with us, and hopefully the next Instagram Live, whatever that ones that we do, if we do Facebook Lives or whatever, that you will join us for those. And thank you for your questions that you brought through to Amber. And I apologize for any inconvenience about the Instagram Live. I hope that you can laugh with me too about it. And we will not have another repeat. I will be on there the next time, and it will be an easy process. So again, thank you everybody. I wish you all love and healing on your healing journey, and blessings to you. Take care. Peace. Lots and lots of peace today and always.